Okay, so to answer the first question, which is what is the main goal of a ruler according to Skinner's interpretation of Machiavelli, Skinner explains two goals that all rulers should have and labels one as the foundational goal and then the second as the main goal. So the fundamental or foundational goal of most princes, according to Skinner's interpretation of Machiavelli, is to maintain the state, which essentially means to maintain power and keep your hold on the state. This, however, he explains, is not the main goal. The main goal is to attain glory and do great things of such a kind that it will bring you glory and, by association, fame. And in order to become glorious, you have to be virtuous and be a good leader. And I do not think that this should be the main goal of a leader. I think that the main goal of a leader should be to see their state prosper, and if by association and through doing this they become glorious and rich and famous, then that's great and that's awesome. But I think first and foremost, a ruler should prioritize their people and their state rather than prioritizing themselves and their reputation. And to answer the second question, which is, according to Skinner's explanation of The Prince, when is it right for a ruler to be just or fair? Skinner explains that many of the great thinkers of Machiavelli's time say that in order to be virtuous and glorious, it's really important to be just and to be fair. However, Machiavelli in The Prince explains that you want to make sure you maintain a reputation that causes people to fear you, and in doing so, you can't always necessarily be perfectly just or fair. And in my opinion, at first, I thought that it would be more important to be just and fair always, no matter what the circumstances. However, Machiavelli's oxymoron that he explains, where sometimes in being cruel, you're actually being just and saving the state from a worse fate and allowing it to fall into chaos. And sometimes by being just, you're allowing the state to fall into chaos and therefore being more cruel. And after reading that and thinking about that for a little bit, I understand both sides of the perspective a little bit better. However, I do still think that generally it is good to be just and fair as a ruler, especially from a perspective of someone in the modern day where we don't live in a one-person monarchy. And to answer the third question, which is how far should faith and promises be kept by a ruler according to Machiavelli? According to Machiavelli, promises should be kept if they help your foundational task, which is to maintain power of the state, and they should not be kept if they'll prevent you from completing said task. This is actually very different from many of the other great thinkers of his time who think that promises must always be kept in order to be virtuous and therefore glorious. However, Machiavelli's idea is essentially only keep promises if it won't endanger the state. And I'm somewhere in the middle on this. I think generally if you promise somebody that you're going to do something, you should do it, and it's always good to keep your word. However, if you might have disastrous consequences or something changes where you can no longer keep your word without something bad happening to you or the state that you rule, then I can understand why it would be better to not keep your promises and break your word.